Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms policy, firearms and politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like, and share the program so that your friends can know exactly where the conversation is taking place. Once again, as you can see, we're still here, SHOT Show 2023, having a good time talking with good folks. And my good friend, Mr. Matthew Mallory, over here taking his little selfie with Meet the Pressers. Anyway, Matt, welcome. Thank you for coming on the program.
I always love hanging out with you, talking, chatting.
Oh, yeah.
You're such a sport.
Well, especially when we get a chance to do it, here. In person.
Yeah, right.
Right?
So much internet going on these days.
So tell folks a little bit about the program.
We just got picked up on Ops Lens, so that means we're on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV now, which is exciting, going into our 5th year for Meet the Pressers. MeetThePressers.com is where everybody can get the information about it, and then Meet the Pressers on all the platforms. We're lucky enough to come up with a name that we can actually use on all the different platforms and not have to come up with some oddball, different name for it. Basically interview people that shoot, and as long as they have some interest in the firearms industry, that they've shot a gun, I'll take them out shooting if I really want to have them on the show. And Clint Macro's my co-host. And we just have fun. Everything from military, law enforcement, politicians, to people that have been in gunfights, people that have been in domestic violence situations, suicide prevention. You talk about faith, political activism. No holds barred. We don't just try to different than the Hollywood aspect of like, oh no, you can't talk about faith and politics. No, we talk about it.
So how did you get into doing the show?
So Clint Macro hosted UTM in Pennsylvania 5 years ago for the instructor program. And I went to the class, and prior to that I had a show called the PS and Ed Show, where one of my employees, Pat Kimball, and I started that. Well, Pat took a job closer to his house. I put the show on the back burner. At the event, Clint's like, what happened to your show? I'm like, well, Pat took another job, so I'm going to put it on hold. And Clint's like, you got sponsors, you got momentum, no, you can't do that. I was like, what, are you going to be my co-host? And he goes, yes. So we brainstormed. That was in February. We brainstormed. By April, we had a name, we had a show.
Nice.
And that was 4 years ago.
Excellent. How many episodes have you guys done?
We're over 200 guests, so
okay.
Yeah. So right around probably a little less than 200 episodes total.
So a weekly program?
So we started out, and this is the morphing or the changing over the years. When we started out, it was a weekly show, an hour long. And we realized that's a long show. So then we went to a weekly show, half an hour long, and that's good, but you still don't get as many people sticking around for a half an hour. So Clint took a job with the USCCA, was just production behind the scene for the past year and a half. He just got approval to come back on the show, so now he's going to be back on the show as my guest my co-host, not my guest co-host. You were my guest co-host, my first guest co-host at that. And so he's going to come back. We're going to start doing season 5 with him back on. Probably still have some guest co-hosts here and there. And also we partnered with Charlie Cook over the past year, and we've been doing best of. So riding shotgun with Charlie, Meet the Pressers, best of. And we basically do a live show about 2 times a month. So we basically put out 4 shows minimum a month that are 2 of Clint and I, or myself and a guest co-host, and then 2 shows that are live with Charlie and I. And then this year we're really going to focus on more product reviews, more blowing things up, starting things on fire, just having fun, just trying to make it smaller videos, shorter sound bites and stuff like that. Because half an hour is a long time, and we want to draw people to the show, but we don't want to just focus on people that have half an hour of their time.
Well, I'll tell you, the formats for podcasts, I've noticed, and there's some that where the short does really well, and there's actually the long form is also very popular. Yeah. Joe Rogan's probably the great example of someone who does a long. His are sometimes 3 hours.
Wow.
Now, mind you, they're sitting around often drinking bourbon and smoking weed, so that can make it somewhat entertaining. Yeah. I don't know if we're going to be doing
Add
that.
guns to that, right? Yeah.
But yeah, so it really kind of depends. But what I find is the most important thing for people is to be consistent in your quality, and consistent in your timing, and people will make you a regular part of their rotation.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, FPC is a policy group, so we deal a lot with policy. What policy issues have you seen over the last year, or do you see going into this year, going to be the biggest hot button issues in your minds?
Well, being Bruin came out of New York. It took 7 years for the Bruin decision to make it to the Supreme Court. I've been doing the new 18-hour course that New York State required. I was actually the first instructor in New York State to hand a New York State resident one of the 18-hour certificates. I'm not proud of having to teach the course. I'm proud of the content that I'm putting out. I love what I do. I hate that I have to do it because of the politicians. I think these states, especially the liberal states that don't want people to have guns, good people to have guns, like us, right, here at this show. They don't, I think there's going to be a lot more lawsuits in liberal states like New York, California, Illinois. I mean, look what's happening there, right? Ban everything. So, but I honestly, I think as long as the dynamic of the Supreme Court doesn't change drastically, I think a lot of these cases will get picked up quicker because of organizations like, FPC, because they're doing the fight. They're taking to the field. Let's go. See, the enemy is right there on the other side of the field. Let's get these judges to make decisions in our favor.
Well, and I think, and I've said this to on other shows, the leadership of the Firearms Policy Coalition really was ahead of their time. They were building up their legal ranks as well as building partnerships with attorneys from across the country as well as other 2A groups to help fund and manage and run and be prepared that all of a sudden Bruin hit, and all of a sudden there are lawsuits, not just lawsuits everywhere, but even existing lawsuits. They're they're filing new stuff in order to push them to make those decisions, utilizing the process that the Supreme Court set forward for gun cases.
Yeah, it's revolutionary. It's definitely a good time to be in the industry, and I guess a bad time to be in the industry, both with how much restrictions happening. I mean, you just see recently the ATF and the stuff with the bumps, or not bump stocks, but stocks on pistol braces and such. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy world, and I hope the dynamics politically change statewide. Even though we just lost the governor's house there, but definitely federally in the next couple of years. I think if we can change the tides federally, along with all the good organizations like FPC, along with what we have for the Supreme Court, I think we can maybe start to swing that pendulum back in the favor of the people that just want to protect themselves from dirtbags.
Well, I think to a certain extent, the biggest challenge is a cultural thing in terms of the media and academia being anti-Second Amendment. That's one aspect of it, but I think in the legal process, a lot of the things that the government, we're starting to see them do in other areas, and I think COVID was a great example of that, but they've always been doing that and pushing that on the gun community.
Right. Yeah, and I think now it's becoming exasperated, but I think also people are seeing it, noticing that more. The interesting, I was speaking to a guy we're going to have on Meet the Pressers. He trains dogs, and he's from Germany. The guy's from Germany. He moved here 5 years ago, and he trains dogs. He trained dogs in Germany because they didn't let him have guns over there. And the dogs, they have self-defense dogs. So instead of having your own gun, you have your own dog that can defend you. If somebody attacks you, the dog attacks them. I was like, that's crazy. And he came here to the States, and he was anti-gun because he was indoctrinated by Germany. And they're like, no, you can't have guns, and all the media and everything. And he said when he came here, he realized, are you kidding me? My government was lying to me all those years. No, bad guys are going to do whatever they got to do to do what they want to do to you. Shouldn't you have the upper hand? Shouldn't you have the tool that's going to be the best to stop them from doing such? So it was really kind of neat to hear that from him only 5 years ago coming over from Germany.
So that's an interesting perspective and a tactic. So in other words, let's say we got rid of guns and all we had was we could have our own dogs, our own attack dogs. Well, what would happen is you'd have people. What if you had people then using dogs to attack other people, right? To rob people, right? Or what if you had a rob rival or to harm or kill rival gang members? Yeah. Would you then start having dog-free zones?
Instead of a cockfight, you're going to have a dog fight.
Right, that right there, that's a high-capacity Rottweiler right there.
You got too many teeth. We got to de-teeth them.
we got to de-teeth them. There you go. See, maximum capacity are 4 teeth. I don't know why you need a dog with more than 4 teeth.
Full auto teeth.
Full auto teeth. Those are Chihuahuas.
That's true, very true.
Subcompact.
Back of the punch.
Well, hey, where can folks follow Meet the Pressers?
So meetthepressers.com, links to all of the platforms, but if you're on any of the audio platforms, YouTube, Gunstreamer, any of those, or like I said, Roku, Apple TV, or Fire TV, you basically look for Meet the Pressers. And we're listed under that.
Opslins, by the way, is a phenomenal app. I do another program called The Rundown.
Mm-hmm.
We're on there 5 days a week, and it's a great app to get a lot of good 2A. There's a lot of good 2A folks that are on there. You've got the Polite Society podcast. Yep. You've got Eye on the Target. You got Armed American Radio, and you got Meet the Pressers. So you can't miss it. Okay, you guys want to check that out. With that, thank you so very much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Matthew Mallory. All right, well, hey, that's it for this edition. I'm going to take a little bit of break because you can see my voice is going a little bit. But we're going to be back with more interviews here at SHOT Show 2023. We hope that you folks are enjoying this content. If you are, encourage your friends to tune in. On that note, we'll talk to you again real soon.